Hi, in this lesson, we will see how can we define global parameters in a storybook. Let's see it. So as you can notice in a storybook, because we have passed the getStyles function, we are always having this printed here. But this doesn't add any value, right? This is going to be there anyway, and this is a function that the hog is going to inject. So there is a way to disable this, and we can go to the stories, and then here in archetypes, we can just define that the getStyles is going to be a table disable true. And as soon as I do that, the getStyles is going to disappear. But the thing is, this getStyle, since we are using the get template and the whole configuration, is going to be present in every story that we write. So that means that we will have this definition per story, but also Storybook has this implementation of what is the global parameters. So you can define some global parameters here, and we would love to move the archetypes and say, okay, the getStyles is going to be a table disable true. But this doesn't really work. In fact, this used to work some releases ago, but it wasn't an official implementation, so they removed it. And now we don't have a way to globally disable the archetypes. But guess what? I have a trick. Let's do that trick. And this is hacky, so doing in your own risk, but at least I don't want to have this for every component. And if this works while they implement the official version, why not use it? So in our helper storybook, I'm just going to define a new helper, and this one is going to be called disable global archetypes. So this one is going to receive the parameters, and this is going to be a closure function that is going to return a function that, given the parameter, is going to receive some arguments. And these arguments are going to be iterate. So I want to be this used as a way that I can pass arguments that I want to ignore completely for the table. So I'm going to iterate those, and per each argument, what I want to do is the following. I'm going to get into the parameters, archetypes, because those are stored there. And then for every art that I have specified, I want to say that the table is equals disable true. I'm going to export this because I want to use it, of course. And I going back to the preview.js file. So you wonder, oh, okay, but Guillermo, that means that we need to use that into every story. No, that's not correct, because as you see here, we are receiving the parameters, right? So there is a trick, and in the decorators, as a second argument, you can receive an object, and that object will have the parameters. And this is very hacky. I will repeat this again. It's very hacky. What we can do is mutate those parameters. And have you heard about mutations in JavaScript? And usually we associate mutation as something wrong and a very bad practice. It could be a very bad practice if you have side effects, but in this case, we really want those side effects. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my disable types function, and yes, the first parameter is going to be the parameters that I receive here. And the second argument is going to be those archetypes that I want to disable. In this case, it's going to be getStyles. And this is a trick that you need to learn pretty well. So we are going to do our short circuit. And what does that mean? So basically what we're doing is, before we return this function, we are going to evaluate this function. Because this function is returning undefined, what is going to happen at the end is like this second function is going to be returned as we expected, but this one has been executed. So this one is going to mutate our parameters, and it's going to take the getStyles here and just disable them. So as you can see, we don't have this here anymore. And let's say for some reason, I also would like to disable the children archetype. We can do that here, and it's going to mutate it. This is, as I say, a hacky way to do it, while Storybook decide to implement global parameters modification. In our next lesson, we are going to use that parameters for the global decorator and user for another trick. See you in the next one.